Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles, minister and hypnotist, and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast where I cover those topics that interest me, focusing on how you can use the power of your mind to take control of your life. If you want to know more about my professional work or sign up for my free e-newsletter Power Lines, check out my website, which I'll tag in the description. Well, when I work with clients, I often do something hypnotists call future pacing. It's sort of like an imaginary age regression in reverse. I'll ask people what they want their life to be like in 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years. Now, this is a useful technique, and I will often ask it repeatedly of clients as a way of gauging their progress. That said, I want to mention to any hypnotist colleagues who are watching this video, you only use this technique with clients who do not seem seriously depressed or who have not been recently diagnosed with a life-changing illness. If someone is depressed, they will often find that it requires too much energy to answer that question, and that only makes their mood worse. If they're newly diagnosed, they will often refuse to answer because they don't want to imagine a future that they might not live to see, which makes a certain kind of psychological sense, even if it isn't, strictly speaking, logical. But for most people, this technique works fine and it's helpful. Now, when you do it, almost everyone will say, well, I want to be happy in 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years. That's such a common response that when I typically ask the question, I will add something along the lines of, I already know that you want to be happy and healthy, so tell me what I don't know. And they will then go on to give me information about occupational, relationship satisfaction, goals, and so on. My point here is simply that everyone wants to be happy. No one gets up in the morning and said, I was sad yesterday and today I hope to be even more miserable. So you have to kind of sidestep that to get information out of the client. Well, what is it that makes a person happy? Wealth? No. There are lots of very unhappy, wealthy people out there, to judge by their divorce rate, addiction rate, and the general train wreck that some of their lives routinely turn up to be. Personal success? Well, that does seem to make a difference in study after study, but very successful, unhappy people are not hard to find either. Now, I've mentioned before the work of Michael Dahlin, who is at the Center for Well-Being, Welfare, and Happiness at the Stockholm School of Economics in Sweden. Whenever social scientists explore what nations have the happiest people, the Nordic countries always tend to show up at the top of that list. This is despite their long, dark, cold winters. On that list, Sweden comes out sixth, far higher than the United States. Well, Dahlin cites consumerism, the drive to keep buying things and to have the latest and most popular toys as one source of unhappiness, because things can't make you happy. Nordic countries have cultures that are pretty strongly anti-consumerism, and it's considered praiseworthy to not clutter up one's life with stuff. Think of the clean and uncluttered lines of Scandinavian furniture you might have seen. That's sort of the vibe. Another problem he cites is overfunctioning. That is, doing more than you're supposed to do. Now, this is often encouraged by employers who tell workers that 110% of effort is required on the job. Now, in my opinion, that is abusive. An employer can require 100% of your effort as you're getting paid. But once you go over that 100%, you're working for free, and someone else is stealing the value of your labor. Darlene finds that actually about 70% of your effort is sort of the sweet spot when people are productive and accomplish a lot and don't feel victimized by the work that they're doing. And I'm actually encouraged these days by the younger generations that increasingly are saying they will not drink the corporate Kool-Aid. They will do the job they were hired and agreed to do, and that's it. And I really think they're onto something. That's healthier. That said, after you take away the things that make you unhappy, what is it in your life that will make you happy? What are the positive steps one can take? Interestingly, it turns out to be a whole bunch of little things. The Huffington Post just did a survey of its readers in April 2024, and they found that simple, small things matter most. Taking a coffee break and actually getting away from your desk, your bench, or your machine. Calling or texting with a friend or family member that you like. Putting the darn phone away and don't let yourself live your life glued to it. Remembering what you like about your significant other instead of what ticks you off about them. Small indulgences. A cup of great coffee or tea. Splurging on some really wonderful self-care products. Treating yourself to something nice every so often. Apparently, according to the survey, it's the cumulative effect of those small indulgences that does the most to buoy your mood and your sense of happiness. I recall the work of the great psychoanalyst Viktor Frankl, who was imprisoned in a Nazi concentration camp during the Second World War, but who found that there were ways to be happy even there. The sun was still warm. The air often smelled good. He would notice when people would treat each other with kindness. He thought about his situation and found he could hope to learn some things about emotional resilience that he might write about someday, which he did. But it was always the little things, the extra bit of soup a friend served in the mess hall, a beautiful song by a bird, that really made the difference. I'm encouraged by this because we can all make it a point to appreciate the small things, the little good things that we all do have in our life. Sometimes we just get too preoccupied to notice them, but they're there, and paying attention, living mindfully, can be a very effective treatment. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject. I'd like to invite you to join me. It helps me a lot if you let others know about my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're wondering if I can be of help to you, feel free to reach out through my website for a free, no-obligation screening call, and we'll find out. Have a great week.